Okay, this is the whole prayer. A lot of times people read just the first part of it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There's actually more to it. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking as he did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. And a gentleman named Reinhold Niebuhr wrote this prayer. Serenity is a level of peace where it's not depending on what's going on around you. And that can really be a chore for us sometimes, because it seems like because there's so much turmoil going on around us, that's why we're upset. That's why we're feeling thrown off. That's why we're stuck. That's why we're angry. That's why we're resentful. But the truth is, and I'm glad that there's another way to deal with these things in life, is that because everything's going on around us, we do not, I do not, you do not have to fall into those negative traps. We don't have to. Because as this prayer tells us, first of all, we have to realize there's some things that we can change and some things we can't. And of course, there's some things we don't know whether we can or not until we actually try to change it. So it's not always just something you know off the top of your head. So if you try to change things, that to me is a place to begin so you can know whether or not what it is. Is it a thing you can change, or is it a thing that you can't change? And maybe it's something you can change, but maybe it's just not today. And being okay with it not being today. It's okay if it's not changed today. And then the prayer continues, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time. I think that's one of the things that I had to learn, is to be present in my life, to know that right now where I'm sitting with you, this person who's sitting here listening to me, Remco, Dehan, that sitting here right now, I have everything I need right now. And usually what messes us up and causes us to get worried and fall into getting stuck, anxious, and taking all the joy out of the moment is we're trying to look too far ahead. Looking ahead to the negative what ifs. Now, I guess it wouldn't be so bad if we look forward to the what ifs and say, what if it all worked out? But typically, the human mind goes toward the negative, and we find ourselves worried. Well, what if this doesn't work out? Right now, yeah, I do have what I need right now. I ate breakfast this morning. I'm full right now. But if I start letting my mind wander and focus on, well, what's going to be for dinner? Am I going to have food? And am I going to be able to have what I want? There's no need to worry about that, because that's a peace stealer. It's a peace robber. It's a serenity stealer. Serenity comes in right now, in this moment, right now, as we just sit here together and say, I have everything I need right now. And that is true. And as we live that one day at a time, one moment, and it's more crucial, I think, to live one moment at a time, seeing that a day comes in so many hours. So we begin with that moment at a time and enjoying, truly finding enjoyment in that moment. It's like, wow, awesome. It's a whole new awesome peace. It's a whole new awesome, newfound way of approaching life where you can actually be happy for like a hot minute. That is really awesome. I remember after the many years of turmoil, I, I talked to you about this earlier in my story of panic attacks and anxiety and stress and not knowing what was going on with me, and all kinds of things were troubling me. And once I came through that to a point where I began to relax and let God take hold of my life and rest in His care, this enjoying one moment at a time became a reality, and it still is a reality. My body just relaxed, released, and I stopped worrying so much. I found more peace in moments, in times, and time together with people, instead of building up in my mind what terrible things going to happen when they leave, or are they not going to like me anymore, and just worrying all kinds of problems. When I just learned to just fully be present in my person with another person, I found so much more joy, serenity, and peace in life. Enjoying one moment at a time. And then the next part says accepting hardship as the pathway to peace. And I had a coach one time talk to me, and he told me life is going to have some hardships from time to time, and some of it's going to be yours. Some of it's going to be mine. So he was trying to help me to see that in life, good things happen, negative things happen. Depends on how we look at it. We just say, negative, but a lot of times that's the very thing that can help me find my pathway to peace. And one of the ways that you know the pathway to peace is that when you've had so much hell, you know the difference between hell and peace. And sometimes it's just so simple that we miss it. How do you know what peace is like if you have peace every single day? How do you really appreciate it when it's peace every day? It's kind of like living by the ocean in Hawaii every day, and just think, wow, this is paradise, man, this is paradise. But then actually in paradise, it's not always paradise, because everywhere, somewhere on the island, somewhere it's raining every day. And that's why there's rainbows, though, because the sun is shining on one part and then it's raining somewhere. I remember when I visited there, they told us about that. And that's how you know peace is, because of the hell you've been through. How you appreciate happiness is sometimes because of the sadness you've been through. It's like, man, I'm glad to be happy again. But what if you were always happy? Then you wouldn't. I don't see how we would, as humans in our emotions, know the difference between the plus and the minuses. So anyway, so the next part of this prayer, someone called Living in Jersey, thanks for stopping by. The next part, it says, taking as He did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. And this is one thing that hangs us up to, is wanting the world to be the way we want it to be. And I think that's one of the reasons we have so much political unrest in our world. People are trying to force other people to do stuff because they want it to be the way they want it to be. When in fact, accepting the world as it is, not as I would have it, because that's what I want. People have a right to live their life the way they want to live it. I don't agree with things everybody does, but everybody doesn't agree with me either. But that's just a part, to me, about being human, about being American especially, that we get to have that freedom. And it's a whole lot less stressful trying to just manage your own life than it's trying to manage everybody else's. But I've seen that a lot in our society these past few years. This big ground swelling, more and more people trying to make other people live the life they want them to live. When in fact it would just be a lot better, more peaceful. You just live your life, let other people live theirs. Trusting that He will make all things right if I surrender to His will. And the greatest job we have as human beings is surrendering to the maker of the universe instead of trying to be the head of the universe ourselves. And it seems like sometimes, we feel like we're not going to be content if we're not running things and running everybody else's life, getting everybody else's business. But the truth is, we surrender to the maker of the universe to live the life that He meant for us to live. That is a huge, huge job. It's a huge responsibility. It's enough to keep anybody busy entire lifetime without trying to run somebody else's life. That I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with Him forever in the next. And as this prayer ends, all of that stuff that we mentioned before, we want to live that kind of life because we can be reasonably happy in this life, and then supremely, ultimately happy after this life is over. Some people think there's no life after. I believe there is. And when we've done all we can in this life to be the best us, to be the best me, you've done the best you can to do the best you, then for me it's a joy to me to believe in the supreme ever after with the Creator forever in the next. That's awesome. So I wanted to share this full prayer because many times people only look at the first part of the prayer, and it's so much more to it than serenity, things we cannot change, accepting what we cannot change, and knowing the difference. It's more to it than that. So I'm going to read it through one more time, and then I'll be done. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking as He did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that He will make all things right if I surrender to His will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with Him forever in the next. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at CoachGlenda7, the number 7, at gmail.com. And my life coaching webpage is glendathomas.wordpress.com. When this broadcast is over, you'll see a link. It'll say this broadcast is finished. Follow me. And when you click on that, it'll take you directly to my website. Thank you, living in Jersey. And thank you, Remco Dehan, for listening to me. Thank you. Have a blessed and serene day.